I like Ron Rivera as a head coach a lot. I think he's very, very good. I think he made a bad choice. He's a really good employee who made a really poor choice. He's going to coach the Washington Redskins. He's seeking power. It's a mistake. It feels like Chip Kelly to San Francisco, who I think can coach. Now, I think Ron's a much better NFL coach. The rule in the NFL, better the quarterback, better the chances you survive. And Kyle Shanahan in the NFL is 19-5 with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's 4-20 with every other quarterback. That's Kyle Shanahan, the best young coach in football. Belichick got fired in Cleveland. Couldn't get the right coach. Pete Carroll fired twice. Couldn't get the right quarterback. Belichick couldn't get the right quarterback. Dwayne Haskins is the fourth best quarterback in that division. He's the fourth best. And if they use Alex Smith, he's the fourth healthiest. So Dwayne Haskins is not close to Carson Wentz. I don't think he has nearly the upside of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had far more college starts, and I don't think he has the qualities of Dak Prescott. So that's 1-5 to 0-6 a year in division. I even know who Washington plays next year because the schedules are out. We just don't know when the games are. They play the AFC North. So it'll be Dwayne Haskins against Big Ben on the road, Baker on the road, Lamar Jackson at home, Kyler Murray on the road, at Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson, Jared Goff at home, at Matt Stafford and Cam Newton at home. Loss. Quarterback deficit for all of them. Ron Rivera is a good coach. But there are two things that matter in this league. Ownership stability, Redskins are crazy town, and who's your quarterback? I got nothing against Dwayne Haskins. I think he's a franchise guy. But he's not close to ready. The word on him is he's not really a grinder, sometimes just relies on his talent. He's not mobile in an increasingly mobile league at quarterback. He needs perfect pocket situations. And he just didn't have many college starts. So he's probably 2 to 3 years away of reps to getting it right. Well, Ron Rivera, by the end of year 2, Dan Snyder may sell that stock. That's Dan Snyder. So I see this all the time in the NFL. Be careful of the job you take. And I tell young people in this business, be careful of the show you take. Who's your producer? What is the time slot? Who is your boss? What is the owner? What's the stability like? What's the timeline on it succeeding? So Ron's a great coach, but I think you're in big trouble. In the NFL this year, 7 of the 8 teams finishing last have the worst quarterback play. All right, or the least talented quarterback. The only exception is the LA Chargers, and I can make an argument this year for Phillip Rivers. He was also the worst quarterback in his division. You just cannot overcome in this league impatient ownership, meddling ownership, and an average quarterback. You can't overcome it. Belichick couldn't. Pete Carroll couldn't twice. Kyle Shanahan can't. I mean, we think Sean McVay's smart. The minute they've had offensive line trouble with the Rams and Goff, who's not overly athletic, has to run for his life, the Rams are unwatchable. The minute they get protection, the Rams are good. It all comes down to basically guard, center, guard protection for an immobile quarterback. So I think he just made a big mistake. You're going to go into that game against Philadelphia, Ron Rivera, for the next 10 years if you were coaching there, and Carson Wentz, you have a major quarterback deficit. And I think Daniel Jones is way better than I thought. You may have 4 games a year. And I don't think Dak's a super talent, but I think he has super leadership qualities, super durable, super tough, and wins a bunch of games. So I think it's a big mistake. And it's a bummer because I think Rivera is great, but he's seeking power here. He can be the GM. He can have personnel say. He can be the coach. Guess what? Washington's got what? The number 2 pick in the draft? I would strongly think about drafting a quarterback. I would strongly think about it because your success in this league as a head coach is totally tied to it. Great coaches get fired. The Andy Reids, Carroll, Bill Belichick, they get whacked in this league because they can't overcome average or old or unathletic quarterback play. Speaking of that, Bucky Brooks, former player and scout, was on Speak for Yourself yesterday. And, we know Tom Brady is older, but he did win a Super Bowl last year. But Bucky Brooks came out and said, it's over for New England and Brady.
Look, man, I don't know why it's taking y'all so long to come around to the fact that it's over. It's over for the Patriots. It's over because their quarterback is the worst quarterback in the playoffs. Tom Brady.
I can't go with you on that one, Bucky.
He is the worst quarterback in the playoffs. Oh. In the playoffs, it's about quarterback play. Oh, and when I look at the numbers, 8 games under 60 completion percent, 100 passer rating. Tom Brady.
Fist bump, Bucky.
It's over.
Awesome.
Okay, so listen, Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Tom Brady. When you're old and not very athletic, you die quickly. These pocket guys die fast. Phillip Rivers was an MVP candidate last year, and this year it's just bad. So you need these older guys, Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Brady, need great offensive lines, or they age really, really quickly. You can win some games as a pocket quarterback that's not athletic, but you feel like a back-to-the-basket center in the NBA. You can still end up with 15 points and 9 rebounds, but, man, the game is moving away from you. But beyond age and the unathletic nature of Brady's DNA, beyond that is something else that needs to be discussed. The system offensively for New England and Tom is simply too rigid. That's why all these young receivers take years and years to work. Edelman took 4. Mohamed Sanu, smart veteran player, was a quarterback in high school, was able to figure out Kyle Shanahan's wildly intense and sophisticated offense in Atlanta. He goes to New England, and his quote last week is, I haven't really scratched the surface of what I can do here. I'm just getting adjusted. There's so many things you can't teach. It's the difference between knowing and doing. And he played quarterback, and he's a veteran, and he's had multiple coordinators, and he's just scratching the surface, and he's bailing water. I've said this before. Rigid is a real thing. Rigid people age quickly. Rigid companies, rigid personality. I'll give you an example. Bobby Knight went from genius to dinosaur. He's a very rigid guy because he wouldn't embrace the one and done. I mean, he went from legend, respected, to Jurassic in 2 years. Mike Krzyzewski's 72, still relevant. He embraced the one and done. He's not a rigid personality. He likes to learn. He's curious. He was willing to embrace, although stubborn initially. Coach K said, I got to get into this one and done, or I'm going to be losing to one and done players. One's still a legend. One feels old. San Antonio Spurs, as brilliant as they are, the last 2 years in the NBA, last in three-point attempts. They're not relevant. Utah's better, Denver's better, Clippers better, Lakers better. They're not relevant. Boston better, Philadelphia better, Milwaukee better, Toronto better. They don't feel relevant. New England's system is too offensively complicated and rigid. And with more players than ever coming out of college in 3 years, not 4, and not even redshirting. The great players in college now do not redshirt, demand to play early or they'll transfer, and they come out after a junior year. They're babies. They're 21 years old. You cannot be rigid. Tom Coughlin, smart, but feels like an old grumpy guy, and this morning Jacksonville retained everybody except Tom Coughlin. Coach stays, GM stays, quarterback stays. And I think it's not just Tom's age. It's not just his lack of athleticism. Rigid people age really quickly, and so do rigid cultures. They feel outdated overnight. And yes, New England won a Super Bowl, but the game is changing. They've got to lighten it up. It's got to be more wide receiver and skill people friendly. And I do think it feels like Brady is a little bit of a liability in these playoffs. I do not think that's crazy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.